She appears kind of young. She's walking northbound now. Male is not in custody. It's a female. We need a male.
It is a huge, huge issue.
Some call it the Blade, others the Stroll. Some just simply refer to it as Fig. This is the Figueroa corridor, and whatever you call it, it's infamous.
Figueroa is one of the most violent corridors for human trafficking.
We are one of the epicenters, the world's epicenters for human trafficking.
This is fueled by a demand for sex.
On nearly every corner, that sex is for sale, right out in the open.
For some reason, we're conditioned to believe they're adults doing this willingly.
But many out here wearing the high heels are just children. Children who are treated as a product.
When you're sleeping, there's a 13-year-old girl who's just seen her 9th sex buyer of the day.
They are being bought and sold and traded and abused.
There's been girls that have been set on fire.
7 on Your Side Investigates takes you inside some of the darkest corners of LA, where suspected pimps crash and dash, and where a desperate race to rescue the girls forced to sell sex is underway.
My concern is that this problem is going to become way more out of control than it already is.
This is Sex in Plain Sight, the Figueroa corridor. The portion of the Figueroa corridor that we will be focusing on runs just about 4 miles from north to south. It starts at Figueroa Street and Gage Avenue and ends when you hit Imperial Highway. Now, this is a very small strip of the city, but right here is where you'll find some of the most violent and some of the most heinous crimes. This part of Fig is patrolled by LAPD's 77th Division, the busiest in LA. Its team of vice officers, only 8 members strong, has the very tough task of investigating traffickers and getting children out here forced to hustle off the blade.
All right, we're going to brief for tonight. We're going to be doing a juvie rescue and a prostitution enforcement along the Figueroa corridor. Based on everyone's training experience here, we're going to be looking for these females.
These vice officers are preparing to work overnight on Fig. For many of them, we can't show you their faces since they go undercover. As they leave the 77th station, their mission is simple, but far from easy. Find underage girls selling sex and get them off the blade. We tag along with Sergeant Al Navarro.
She appears kind of young. She's walking northbound now.
And Vice Officer Liz Armendariz.
If you see them with acne, if you see them really, really, really thin, kind of like they haven't hit puberty.
It's gonna take a few hours probably for this to pick up.
At around 9 p.m. on Thursday, Officer Armendariz says the blade right now is slow. But within minutes, undercovers flag to uniformed officers this young woman they see at a street corner.
How old are you?
23.
Since she looks young, officers want to see an ID.
You were arrested or you just got a ticket?
For what?
In Orange County?
No, I got arrested.
All
I
right.
have a mugshot and everything.
A prior arrest proves she's 23, so she's free to go. But police don't hesitate to stop anyone they even slightly suspect could be a minor. Last year, the LAPD found 54 underage girls working here on Fig. So far this year, they've already found 10.
The youngest on Figueroa Street that I've rescued is a 12-year-old, and the youngest ever rescued along the Figueroa corridor was 9 years old.
I mean, what's kind of running through your mind when you run into a 12-year-old out there?
I start thinking about what I was doing when I was 12 years old.
How much money are these young girls expected to earn for their pimps every single night?
That's gonna change girl to girl, but by and large, it's gonna be in the upper hundreds, so $600-800 to $1,200 a night. $1,200 because from what we're seeing right now, currently, it's $120 for what they call full service.
As the night moves on, the pace of cars on Fig picks up as more women show up off side streets.
So we're quick. We move quick.
That means the pace of the age checks picks up too.
They have a possible juvenile detained after having observed her get dropped off by a possible suspect of human trafficking.
While police verify she is an adult, we hop back in our SUV.
Yeah, that's her.
As undercovers look for the car she got out of.
Bail is not in custody.
Did you guys request an airship?
Roger, I did.
With police closing in, the man they're after crashes his ritzy sports car and runs off.
So they just launched that chopper because they think a trafficking suspect is hiding in one of these homes. They've seen him driving a woman who is working the streets here, not once but twice now, and they're hoping the infrared on that chopper can help them spot him. It's a lot of resources. Why is it important to catch this guy to you guys?
Well, he had a girl in his car who we believe he was trafficking, so that's going to make him a felon. We know for a fact that a lot of these guys have guns, so he's possibly armed in there. We're not going to leave this community on their own to deal with this.
Despite police searching from the sky and placing a perimeter around this neighborhood, the suspected trafficker gets away. The Vice unit of the 77 says they're lucky if they can arrest 2 to 3 traffickers a month. So the 8 checks continue. And our night ends with police bringing this 16-year-old girl back to the station.
She's in protective custody, so we need to get her away from the pimp because he's going to keep the criminal activity going. They'll provide him sometimes something as simple as a teddy bear makes the girl start crying because nobody's ever treated her like a child, which she is.
These are just kids at the end of the day. They want to watch a Disney movie.
This 16-year-old will soon be placed in DCFS custody. But first, police walk her to a room where they will see if she'll share information about her pimp. A pimp who likely, at first, lured her in by thinking they were dating, only to then force her to work along Fig.
It's called a Romeo pimp. So he wines and dines you and tells you nice flowery stories about how things are going to be great for you. Tries to act like a boyfriend, so to speak.
They'll see a pretty girl on the internet, sometimes knowing she's underage, sometimes not knowing. They'll direct message her along with hundreds of others, and they stick with the one that bites.
There's men out there that have a taste for females and juveniles, and they know that they can find it. The pimp starts noticing, hey, they want underage looking people, they're gonna start recruiting underage people. And the thing is that they're much easier to manipulate mentally because a lot of times they come from broken homes.
It's a demand for sex, and they'll get flown out. I've seen girls come in from Atlanta, from Texas, from Florida. So when they come down here, they're thrown into this kind of lifestyle.
Despite finding a teenage girl on Fig and a suspected pimp crashing his car, Officer Armendariz and Sergeant Navarro tell us we saw a slow night on Fig and that we need to come back on a weekend night. So we did. It's a very foggy Friday night on Fig, and the last weekend before Christmas. Just Sergeant Navarro is our guide tonight through a very busy Blade.
So the sergeant just drove us 15 blocks down the Blade and counted about 50 women working the corners of the street.
And it's not just Fig where all the traffic is.
Yeah, there's at least 4 girls working that corner.
The side streets off the corners where there's hustling are jammed with traffic, and the sergeant drove us through one of them so we could see what's happening up close.
On these side streets here, you see these long lines of cars. It's called window shopping. These are likely potential customers. They just want to go up, see what the girls look like. If they don't like what they see, they'll just go down to another side street and see what the girls look like there.
Into the middle of the night, the traffic and the violence pick up. We catch 2 females fighting while an LAPD officer captures this, a knockdown brawl right on Fig. Fights out here are common, but what the women do to each other is nothing compared to what they endure from some of the Johns who pay them.
I saw a female juvie who was stabbed in the throat, will never be able to speak again. She luckily lived, but she won't be able to speak anymore because the John shanked her in his vehicle while they were gonna have a sex act.
The sergeant says they endure extreme violence from their pimps as well.
At the most minimum, it's psychological abuse, psychological and verbal abuse, but it devolves into physical beatings. They'll freeze them, literally freeze them. They'll soak them with water and then put them in the freezing conditions. They'll burn them.
And that's why the LAPD treats suspected sex workers out here as victims and not suspects. Even a woman who is clearly soliciting sex for money is allowed to go right back to work if police find she's not a minor.
Our goal these days is not to arrest them. Our goal is to get them resources and the help they need to get out of that lifestyle.
As we watch more aid checks, we see the officers treat these women with dignity and respect. But what is just so shocking is how all this solicitation, all this selling of sex, going on block after block after block, is all right in plain sight.
Just to give you a sense of how fearless so many are of the cops out here, as police do an aid check on this person right here, there are still girls working the street right across over there. Why is this so out in the open and people who are working in this trade kind of showing no fear?
I think there's a lot of reasons for it, and some of those are the fact that this is a very busy division. 77th Street Division is one of the busiest, if not the busiest, in the LAPD. So these girls know that. The deterrent of hiding is not there.
And even the sun coming up isn't a deterrent either. Up next, what we saw along the Blade in broad daylight as children walk to school. And we press our leaders. What is the plan to turn around Fig? What is the plan to clean up the Blade?
So it's 7:16 a.m. on a Friday morning. Kids are now starting to walk to school. We're just a block from a school. You can see somebody's working this corner right now. And for the kids who walk to that school, they pass right by a real-life lesson on what it takes to survive on the Blade. Just around the corner is LAUSD's Gil Garcetti Learning Academy. A school employee tells us this green tarp you see was put up to block the kids from seeing the rampant prostitution. What are some of the things you've seen as you've dropped your two kids off here?
I mean, you can see the girls running around half naked at the corners, and they literally stand in front of your car. They don't care if your kids are inside.
I see a lot of prostitutes, just walking around almost naked, and it doesn't look good. I don't like it.
It makes for some tough conversations with the kids.
It does.
So we've been driving down these side streets to see if we can speak to people who actually live off of Fig to see how this impacts all of them. A lot of these people are talking to us off camera. They tell us they see car accidents from the Johns, like bumping into each other. One woman even told us there were candles outside of her home because somebody must have been shot and killed just feet from her front door. But none of them want to talk to us on camera. They all are telling us they're afraid of a pimp actually retaliating against them. So to those people who are desperate to see the city do more here,
yeah,
what do you want to say to them?
We're going to do our very best to be able to ensure that we improve the neighborhood, the community that you live in. Understandable as far as the hesitance of people to come forward, afraid of the pimps, afraid of retaliation.
How do you have a vice team of only 8 in the busiest police station in the city of Los Angeles?
We are extremely lean, and my hope is that we are able to maintain enough people so that we don't stop doing any functions that we're currently doing.
Do you have the funds to expand that vice team?
We don't.
Is there a specific plan to get some of this trafficking off of Figueroa?
Right, there is, but you know, it is difficult because it is like whack-a-mole. So you can crack down on Figueroa, and now we have a problem in another part of the city, which is why it is important to go after the criminal enterprises that traffic and to go after the Johns.
Can we basically go after the Johns? I call them these sex exploiters. To go ahead and put them in jail, to shame them, create a registry. But imagine that. You think you're going to get a free pass going for some young girl or young boy on the Figueroa corridor, and there's your name and your picture in a registry that can be accessed anywhere in the world.
LA County District Attorney Nathan Hochman is now so determined to arrest those buying sex out here on Fig. He even has this public poll active so county residents can vote on how they want to punish the Johns. Besides creating a sex buyers registry, options include authorizing the impoundment or forfeiture of vehicles the Johns were in, to allowing sex work survivors to sue sex buyers. Any of these new punishments would require Sacramento to change state laws. But before that can be done, Hochman told us he's already started hitting Johns caught buying sex with conspiracy charges, turning a typical misdemeanor offense into a felony.
Because imagine a day where the sex workers are out there and there's no one buying their services. What are the pimps going to do? They're going to go ahead and recruit more people for an industry that's dried up? Of course not.
Hochman is more aggressively prosecuting the pimps out here too. In 2024, the year before he became DA, just 7 in the county were convicted for human trafficking charges. In 2025, 17 were convicted.
But still only 17. Is that enough?
Not even close. This should go from 7 to 17 to 170.
While there is now a new push to go after the Johns, the pimps, and the traffickers, what is life actually like for those out here who are forced to sell their bodies to strangers? Coming up, a trafficking survivor shares her story.
How old were you when you were trafficked?
My first experience started when I was 13.
How she escaped what is essentially a life of slavery and how she is now paying it forward.
So this is what we call Hope Market.
Inside an unmarked building, a good 15 miles from Fig, is where some survivors of the Blade get some of their first physical distance from their traffickers.
Every single person that I have ever spoken to that has been trafficked on Figueroa has experienced violence and abuse and starvation.
Sarah Elender is with Saving Innocence. Saving Innocence has helped nearly 2,000 trafficking victims in and around LA. One of those survivors is Talia Jones, who was born and raised in Pasadena.
I have a normal background, as people would say.
But at 13 years old, Talia fell for an older man.
They call it boyfriend pimping, so it was that type of older man attraction.
Were you eventually told that in order for this relationship to continue, you got to go out and work?
Yeah, it was kind of like a requirement, like a deal made.
At 13, that had to be terrifying.
Yeah, for sure. Not knowledgeable of anything that was sexual or physical abuse, just thrown into the world, kind of.
How intense was the pressure to make money?
That's where I think the physical abuse comes in.
Talia says during her time out on Fig and on other strips she was forced to work, Sarah and caseworkers from Saving Innocence kept in touch with her, always making it known to Talia they're here to help for whenever she's ready to leave the streets and leave her trafficker.
As a minor, they follow us through our journeys. No matter what, they don't judge.
In her early 20s, Talia left LA to leave her trafficker. At 25, she's now back home and now working alongside the women of Saving Innocence who helped her, consulting with them on the best way to rescue more girls. Talia is now working in the same office where the backpacks of basics she used to receive are stored, ready to be handed out to an unfortunate new generation of girls working the Blade.
These are children at the end of the day, like regardless of what they look like, the tattoos, the piercings, the clothing, like these are children.
So when you were out there having to work those corners, none of your peers were there because you wanted to do that work?
No.
There is a nexus to young survivors of trafficking and, you know, the growing demand for sex. And so until men are unwilling to purchase children for sex, we are going to have this issue.
When you say that, do you mean there are men going to Fig specifically to get underage girls?
I believe so. It's hard to make an 11-year-old look like an adult. So when you are purchasing sex from an 11-year-old, you know what you're doing.
And that demand for sex, especially with children, may only grow. Traffickers know that major events like the World Cup, the Super Bowl, and the Olympics can drive up demand. And all of those events are coming to LA. Over the next few years, LA will be in the world spotlight, hosting the World Cup later this year, the Super Bowl next year, and then the Olympics in 2028. And that could mean what happens here along the Blade may only get even worse.
With all the influx of people, these guys, all the traffickers see is money. We don't have the personnel necessary to combat this issue right now.
Do you ever foresee a day where the Blade isn't this hub for human trafficking?
I can see that. I have a vision for that.
It's an issue that can be resolved. It'll take a lot of good police officers that are still willing to do the hard work.
I need law enforcement to get the level of funding so they can pay for the overtime to go after all these folks.
They risk their lives getting off these streets. They need housing. That's what they need.
Centering the voice of those with lived experience will be our best way forward. And I think that those are the strategies that make this solvable. They're the ones that are going to be able to, you know, really give us the insight to what we need.
I wouldn't be here speaking about it today if I didn't think it was solvable.
So as we learned tonight, the problem is huge, the resources are slim, but there does seem to be growing determination to save the girls of the Blade. Now, will that determination turn into more real action? 7 on Your Side Investigates is committed to staying out here, and with this story, we will see if our leaders are just as committed to stopping what is sex in plain sight. I'm Kevin Ozebek. Good night.